Another day, another dollar. Thank the Lord for another 24. God, I knew that was you. Quick correction officer video, man. This one's for my rookie correction officers. Anybody that's interested in corrections, thinking about applying to the corrections, you about to start at the job. I'm gonna give y'all the top 4 mistakes that correction officers make in their first year. Rookie officers. And this doesn't even pertain, to rookie officers. Sometimes we can make these mistakes later on in our careers. Nobody's perfect. We all gonna make mistakes. We all make mistakes on the job, no matter how much time you got in. It's not the first, it's not the last. But these are some of the 4 top things as far as rookie officers, that you want to try to be aware of and try not to do. The first one is becoming too friendly with the inmates. There's no time and place in corrections that you should be in there high-fiving the inmates, horse playing with the inmates, stuff like that, giving them too much information about yourself, personal information. You got to know how to set boundaries, because this is the thing when you work behind that wall in corrections. All inmates, they have an ulterior motive. I don't care how friendly they may come off as. I don't care. Even if you know them, you can know inmates, from outside of work. There's been times I've ran into people working in the past where I went to school with, I went to college with. They were from my hometown. There was 2 instances. There was I played football in college, and I worked at the county jail first. That was my first stop in my correctional career. There was a girl in there I went to school with. She was on the cheerleading team. We knew each other. And I think she was in there for fighting in the club or something, and then there was another instance where there was a guy at my last federal prison I worked at. He was in there for bank robbery, but I had grew up in the same neighborhood with him. We went to the same Boys and Girls Club as kids. I lost touch with him when I was about 14. He was like 2 or 3 years younger than me when my mom had moved away to another neighborhood. But it was crazy, just seeing him. He was doing 15 years for bank robbery. I'm like, man, that could have easily been me. If I would have chose to hang with him, the wrong crowd, run the streets with them instead of focusing on football and school and, staying out of trouble, But yeah, female officers, letting inmates linger in your office unnecessarily. This is the thing as a rookie female officer, especially if you were an attractive young woman, as soon as you get in there, the inmates, they're going to be staring. They're going to be on you like white on rice, They're going to be trying to come into your office. Don't even need to come in your office. They're just trying to find some way to get some FaceTime with you and whatnot, just asking you questions, Then you got to cut that and nip that in the bud, If you ain't in here asking me a question, that's a relevant question, or trying to get some supplies, like some toilet paper, stuff like that, then you don't need to be in the office, trying to get FaceTime, hanging out in the office. It just doesn't look good. It's not a good look, As a woman, female officer, you got a particular inmate that's always in your office that's in there unnecessarily. That's one thing that female correctional officers, you got to be more wary of than the male officers, But yeah, being too friendly with the inmates, man, it sets you up for bad things, especially as a rookie officer. You don't know a lot. You new on the scene. That's how inmates work their magic as far as trying to compromise and manipulate the staff, into bringing in contraband, doing things they're not supposed to do, trying to be friendly, trying to be in your face, stuff like that. You never under any circumstances high-fiving inmates, stuff in there. I've seen crazy stuff, man. Officers in there horse playing, wrestling with it. There's no time and place for that in corrections, because then they think that, they start to think that you're an inmate, you're one of them and not an officer. You have a job to do at the end of the day, The next thing is trying to be a know-it-all, thinking you know everything there is to know as a job, about the job as a rookie. If you fresh on the scene, it's your first year, you don't know nothing about the job. You learning the job. You know what I'm saying? Even if you came, from another institution and you have prior correctional officer experience, you got to understand, if you're going to a whole nother prison or a different agency, you got to know that they do things differently there. They may have different policies and procedures. The stuff that you were able to do at your last institution, you can't do at this institution. For instance, when I worked at the county jail in West Virginia, some of the self-defense tactics that they taught us in the training academy, like the knee strike, different types of stuff like that, I can't do that at the federal prison, you know, because that's not what they teach us. It's not in the policy and procedure. So even if I feel like that may work better in certain situations where you're trying to defend yourself, if you do something like that and they catch it on camera, you know, it's going to set you up for failure, man. You're going to have a case on you. You know, if you try to do moves or do stuff that's not in the policy and procedure, you set yourself up for failure, you know. And as far as being a know-it-all, you know, you got to take the time to actually learn the job, ask questions, you know. You got people that have been there before you, you know, senior staff, veterans, officers, you know. If you come off as being a know-it-all or thinking that you know everything there is to know about the job, that's going to be off-putting to people. People are not going to want to help you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get that reputation. You know, that's the last thing you want to do, is to develop a bad reputation in working in correction. And that's the next thing I want to talk about. You know, your first year, you want to do everything in your power, you know, to do the job to the best of your ability and to not develop a bad reputation on the job. You know, how do you develop a bad reputation on the job? You know, if you always have a negative attitude, if you think you know it all, if your coworkers, they can't coach you up or correct you or tell you maybe you should try doing it this way because you're just closed mind, you're not listening to them. Stuff like being a difficult coworker to be around, you know, that's a big thing too, you know, working in corrections. There's sometimes you got coworkers that are difficult to deal with just because, you know, they always constantly nagging or complaining. Then you got some people that try to be robo-cops, man. They on the unit trashing the inmate cells unnecessarily when they do cell searches, slamming doors, talking to the inmates any kind of way. You know, that just makes for a hostile environment, you know, and whether you working directly with that officer and they're your partner, or you're the officer relieving them when they get done with their shift, it makes it worse for you, you know, because I've been in plenty of situations like that, you know, where you got a hot head, you got an officer, man, that's like a RoboCop, man, tough guy, and it's like it makes it difficult for you, man. I remember there was a situation when I worked at the county jail, you know, and there was an officer in particular. He had a bad habit of talking to the inmates any kind of way, you know, trying to really flex his authority, you know, his position as a correctional officer. I remember there was an instance where he pointed to the emblem on our shirt, the badge, and he was like, "You see this?" He said he was talking to an inmate. He was like, "You see this badge right here? This badge means something, man. You need to respect this badge. This is authority. I got authority over you." And I'm sitting there, you know, looking. I'm like, man, that badge don't mean nothing. You know, at the end of the day, if the inmates want to take us hostage or take this prison over, man, it's nothing for them to do that because we're outnumbered at all times. But the story gets better, man. You know, he got into an altercation with an inmate, you know, and one thing led to another, and it was his mouth that got him in this trouble. You know, I'm working with him. We was serving, we was passing out the trays and whatnot. And he got the mouthing off, man, talking disrespectful to an inmate. The inmate, I don't know what they had going on, what they were going through that day, what was going through their head. But next thing you know, they just turned, cold cocked him. Boom, knocked him out. The officer I'm talking about, he was knocked out on the floor, man. I was like, damn. I had to spring into action. You know, I got on my walkie-talkie, called for assistance. I grabbed the inmate, put him up against the wall, you know, put him in handcuffs. But that just goes to show you, you know, you gotta take the job serious, and you can't just be in there saying anything and thinking you like the master, the inmates, your slave. You know, yes, we're in an authoritative position, and yes, it's our job to manage and, you know, to control the inmates' action and make sure the prisons and jails are running in a safe and secure manner. But you got to show respect to get respect. That's the number one rule in correction. That's the number one golden rule in life. You got to show respect to get respect. You know, if you respect the inmates, treat them like they're human beings, you know, but still do your job and be fair and firm and consistent with them, man, you will have hardly no problems, man. He didn't like to do that. He liked to disrespect them, talk to them, think he could talk to them any kind of way. You got to realize now, working in corrections, some of these dudes, they not going for that. Depending on the institution you at, you got higher security institutions now. You got people with a lot of time. They got violent tendencies, man. They in there for stabbing people. They in active gangs. They not finna just sit here and go for that. You can't talking to them any kind of way. They not finna sit here and they not going. They're not going. They won't hesitate to pull that knife out on you, man. Put them hands on you. It just happens. It just is what it is. And now it's like I'm in a position as his co-worker, as his partner, now I got to do my job and I got to spring into action, all because he can't control his mouthpiece. You see where I'm going with that? So that's what I mean when I say like a difficult co-worker or somebody that's difficult to work with. People that complain about the job, how bad it is, how they always feel wronged or deprived of something, man. Those are negative people to be around. I try to avoid them as much as possible. We got people like that at every institution I've been at, and it just makes for a longer day. And I don't want to, just be around people like that that's always negative, talking bad about the job. Because if it's so bad, why do you keep showing up? You know what I'm saying? Why keep showing up to something that you don't enjoy? You obviously enjoy it, or you coming for the chat. I don't get it. I just try to avoid those people to the best of my ability, stay professional, and just do what I'm there for, And like I said, as far as that bad reputation in your first year, calling in sick excessively, calling in, banging out, that'll give you a bad reputation, man. I seen an officer at my last federal prison I worked at. He got fired before his first year was up because he had a bad habit of calling in. He called in, and they try to find a pattern. If you have a habit of calling in, like, I don't know, every Saturday, man, they're going to see that. And the higher ups, the management, they're going to start, they may ask you about it. They may say, man, you need to watch how you calling in like that. This particular officer had a bad habit of always calling in. And I don't know if it was the last straw, but I remember there was a situation where it was Thanksgiving, and holidays, working in corrections could be tough just for the simple fact that, it's 24 hours in corrections. So when the holidays and the weekends roll around, somebody has to be there, so somebody's going to be missing, family time, the holiday with their family, stuff and that. This particular officer, he was in his first year. He was supposed to be scheduled to work, and I guess he didn't show up. He just didn't show up. So the lieutenant, they called him, and when he answered the phone, he told the lieutenant, basically, I'm having Thanksgiving with my family, and hung up on him, So I think that was the last straw. They ended up firing him before his first year was up. So in your first year, you under the spotlight. You can get fired for anything, man. They just don't feel you're a good fit for the agency or the job, or in general as a correctional officer. You got a bad habit of doing stuff like that. It just they're not going to keep you around. So those are some of the things that you need to watch and be mindful of when your first year in corrections. Some of the top 4 mistakes. If y'all got any comments, questions, concerns, future topics, for ideas that y'all may want me to do, pertaining to corrections, drop a comment. I'll be sure to get back with you as soon as I can. Follow me on my YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok at The Ghetto Bodybuilder. I got the merchandise for sale. Shop with me on my website, www.theghettobodybuilder.com, man. You getting into corrections, you about to start. I wish you much luck and much success in your new endeavor. And I wish you a long, successful, prosperous career. Y'all know how we coming. Let's get motivated.